but he moved out of there recently.
That guy was like, his demeanor, I think he would have been a good mayor for Chicago. As long as he played for the right side, as long as he was like pushing for the good of Chicago instead of like some of these other mayors and like putting stuff in their pocket or whatever.
No, I know. Yeah, we've seen that.
But all right, where I was going with that, so he was MLB player, so I was like, okay, like these guys got money, and like the parents, like they paid, like I don't know how much she paid or they paid, but the rent came in every month.
Right.
But like almost right away, like her druggy boyfriend comes in and I get complaints from the girl living below, like, hey, there's this noise, this blah, 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 it doesn't sound good. And it was horrible. Like, I guess he brought his friends in, then the dad found out and he came and they like knocked on the door. Like, I think they called he knocked on the door. Actually, there was like the fire escape, and so like there was like glass, a little bit window on the door, so like he could see, and he was like, "Oh, let my daughter out," blah blah blah. They wouldn't open the door, and like then they called the cops. The cops came. Cops were like, "Hey, blah blah blah," and like they saw like he had a knife or something. He was like, "Oh, I don't have the knife anymore. You just put it down." And the cops were like, "Oh, the dad had broke the window," so like the cops were trying to get in. They're like, "You can't come in here. You don't have permission." And they were like brainwashing her. Like she was like, no, they're my guests. Like they can stay here. And like the cop was like really like trying to solve the situation, get these guys out because they did not belong there. They weren't on the lease. Then these guys went to the cop. Oh, what's your badge number? It was during COVID. You're not wearing a mask. Blah, blah, blah. Like the power just like shifted. Like they knew, these guys were career, like they knew all the like the ins and outs. And after a while, the cops are like, oh, we got to go. Yeah.
This is your tenant?
Yeah.
And they told you this? Your tenant told you this?
No, I'm telling you the situation.
So you were there?
Yeah.
You saw this happen?
Bro, it was like cop cars. It was crazy.
And so you went over there?
Broke the window. I think his hand was bloody. And like he was just like, I don't want my daughter in here, and I don't want these scumbags here. It was like 5 or 6 of them like squatting in there.
Did you get the tenant out, or did you get?
So like, but like the cops were like, there's nothing we can do. You know, she said they're her guests. Oh, the guy was like, I have my clothes in here. Apparently that's a big thing for like possession. And the other one's like, oh, I get mail here. Oh, well, you get mail here. Like, you know, you're a tenant, basically.
The cops need to be aware of what a lease is, you know?
But it doesn't matter. Like,
this is just a lease. Like, just read it. Who is living there? And like, there's no like cause, like, you know, that, oh, I put my clothes in here. Something like that.
Apparently that's a thing. Like if they have the clothes and they get mail, that's basically like
they're living there. Okay, well,
what about the squatters? They just went in and like.
I guess
it's the laws here.
If you have kids, you know, like you don't put them on the lease because you can, you know, I understand that.
I'm going to talk to you about kids in just a second.
Yeah, I want to know about that now.
But really, like for the mail, I could just go any promotion or anything online and put that address. Boom, I got mail there. You know what I mean? Like it's so ridiculous.
You can put your, you know, business address in the city as any location.
Anything.
Where your business on your LLC is located is just a random address in downtown. And that, I mean, people do that all the time.
I could sign up, like, you know, they're always asking for your address and email and all that info. I could just give them some fake address and boom, mail's going there. I hate it. Anyway, the police basically like gave up and, but there was one detective, like, man, I forgot his name, but like, bless that guy. Cause he was like, I grew up in this area. Like, I know people like this. I hate that. So we had security cameras, and I remember we were watching. I see the druggy boyfriend come with his daughter. She was probably like 5 or 6, something like that. They go to the door. He stops. The girl keeps walking, maybe like another 20 feet. And then like, I was like, is she confused? Like where the door is? Like, why does she keep walking when he's stopping there? Maybe she just didn't notice. And then he calls her. She comes back. They go up the stairs. Okay, I didn't think nothing of it. The detective was like, keep playing the camera. I was like, why? We just saw him go inside. He's like, keep playing. Sure enough, maybe like 5-10 minutes later, random dude, never seen him before. He comes in, he goes where the girl was standing, steps down, picks something up, and then walks away. He was like, that was a drug drop. I was like, but that's bogus. Why do you have his daughter do it? Like, why didn't he do it himself?
Because this is, you know, undercover as possible. There's no way you'd think, oh, a random girl come by and she'd grab something. You know?
Yeah, he was like, we're not going to arrest a 6-year-old girl. You know, like his hands are clean. He's putting, you know, like the drugs on.
But
on
they
his
have
daughter
cause.
to do it.
They know that's his daughter, and they know. So were they able to figure that out at all?
I don't know, but he said like that's a way around it. Like we're not gonna arrest a 6-year-old girl, you know. I don't know the intricacies and the ins and out of it, but like I was just like, that's bogus, you know. Like having your daughter like do the drug drop for you, like that guy was so scummy, man. Not to mention all the other stuff. But anyway, because like they were basically brainwashing her, like I don't know if they, you know, with the drugs or whatever. She said they're my guests. How it changed, like we got the parents involved, and I was like, hey, like we're on the same team here. I think you want her out of there just as much as we want them out of there. So let's work together on this. They called them. We kept putting pressure. She wouldn't relent, but it was during COVID time, and she got COVID, and she went to the hospital. So it was like, okay, this is the time, because she can't be there to be like, hey, they're our guests. So we called the police again, and like. Police, I remember, like they came. They were like, "Hey, get out, guys! Blah blah blah. You're not supposed to be here." They pulled their same act again. They were a little, like there was again like one officer like wanted to do something like, you know, like they were like, "Oh, they're saying they live here." It was like, no, they're not on the lease, anything like that. So one officer was like, "Oh, let's get them out." Blah blah blah. And then like the sergeant or whatever came by. He was like, "No, we can't do that." Blah blah blah. I was like, oh. And then we were talking to guys, and like one of them mentioned like, oh, she stole our weed, blah, blah, blah. And the mom was like, how much weed did she steal? They're like $100 worth. Like, if we give you $100, will you get out? He was like, oh, I think it was $200. All right, we'll give you $200. Like, I think she's like, if I give you $500, will you get out? And they're like, all right. And, yeah, and I remember they were getting out, like, and then they tried to negotiate more. It's like, no, 500, get out. And then, yeah, that finally worked. Like, thankfully, like, because
Who paid the $500?
The parents
Paid
paid the scumbags.
the parents of them.
No, the parents of the tenant.
Of the tenant.
Paid the scumbags that were
Boyfriend
yeah, like
and
the boyfriend and
other guy, like,
the other friends, whatever.
and then they left.
And then they left. And then like right away, boom, locked the door, like board up the window, like I put cameras inside, like, because you know they could come back and pull the same crap. Like that's one thing. You ever have like that tenant, you got to get out. Like once they're out, like boom, like just get in and like secure the unit ASAP. And we had to do a lot of repairs on that one too. Like,
And she was there? I mean, she was
she
still
was in
living
the
there?
hospital. And then the parents went to the hospital and they said like, come home, you know, like they were like worried about
Also,
her, you
she
know?
moved out. She
Yeah, the parents, like, I think they moved back to their parents. And I think there was, like, a happy ending. I stayed in touch and, like, you know, she got clean and, you know, stayed away from that
Right.
stuff. So, like, thankfully for that. But after that, I said, no exceptions, no co-signers.
Yeah.
Like, credit, like, you got to meet this limit. That's it. And ever since I've done that, no problem.
co-signers, no issues with like credit, obviously. Like
Yeah, like your credit's like this much. For me, it's 680. You know, like I feel like that's high enough where they have a good sense of their finances and keeping their credit score up. But it's not so high. Like obviously, I would love 800, right? But then you're gonna get like 0 to 2 applicants.
Well, this makes sense because are all of your units like 2 beds or less, or do you have 3 beds as well?
1 to 2 beds.
Right. So yeah, that could definitely be a good criteria for you. I feel like when you have a bigger place, then it gets more complicated because, you know, like this place that we have, it's literally like a whole family that's living there, right? And yeah, like 2 of them have good credit, right? The mom and the daughter, and then the other 2 don't have as good of credit. But other people in their family are potentially going to move in with them as well. So it's like, and this is in that area that we're talking about, Portage Park, where, you know, it's hit or miss kind of thing. So it's like you kind of have to, you know, compromise in that area a little bit, but we'll see how it turns out, you know. But yeah, you know, ideally, yeah, I would want to have 4 or 5 people living there all with 700 or more credit. But, you know, how often is that going to, I might have to wait 6 months for something like that.
Yeah.
Which is not, I mean, you can't wait that long for that to happen, you know. But in your case, if you're doing 2 beds, yeah, you can probably get someone with at least 700 credit, I guess, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in a situation like that for a house, I mean, a lot of times it'll be maybe like parents and then like
Like a
if it's
family
5 people,
essentially,
maybe
yeah.
there's 2 adults and 3 kids, so like obviously the kids
Yeah.
don't count for the credit, you know. So yeah, there's different things you can do, but
But is that the only instance where you've had, you know, someone like that, you know, like a druggie kind of?
so no, one other one. So when I took over management of the building that I bought, in the beginning, there was one a little similar, like an inherited tenant. Like I didn't rent to her, and she had this guy that was coming in, and he was like stealing stuff. So I remember I talked to him one time. I was like, "Who are you? Like, you don't live here."
Right.
He was like, "Oh yeah, I do." Like, "Oh, it's my girlfriend, my fiance." Like every time I asked him, it was a different girlfriend or fiance. He would like he stole stuff from other tenants. You know, like we have a laundry room, and there was like what's called like he would steal people's detergent, and like it's coin laundry. Some people would like before would leave their coins in there, and we had lockers, so they like it was locked. He like broke through and like took their coins. Yeah, this one I knew because it's difficult, right? Because it's not him that lives there. You didn't rent it to him. Like I would never rent to this guy. I looked him up on, Forewarn, right?
Yeah.
How old was he? I think he was like 30s, 32 or something, and he had like 50 criminal infractions. It was almost like two per year, if I remember. Like it was insane.
That was
Like,
after the
everything
fact?
from like assaulting a police officer to like, of course, theft. And it's like, oh my God, this guy, he's horrible. And like, he lied to my face. And
But
all
he
this
wasn't
stuff.
your tenant. He was someone.
He wasn't my tenant. He was coming.
So you can never guarantee that your tenants won't be hanging out with people like that because
That's the tough thing,
Right.
But I don't know. Yeah, I forgot. I think her credit wasn't. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't like good. Like
it was like six.
I wouldn't rent to her.
Nowadays, you
probably
would.
like 620 or something.
Yeah.
maybe 6, which is not horrible. Like I know some landlords or a lot of landlords probably would rent to that, but I wouldn't.
It's a step above Section 8 though, so it's not great.
Well, Section 8 is totally different. That's more like the income.
Well, yeah, but I'm just.
Even Section 8, like if someone says, Section 8, like, all right, you still got to meet the credit score,
Right.
A lot of landlords have that thing like, well, if Section 8's paying for it, like whatever, what's it matter what their credit score is? But I feel like credit score isn't just like your financial ability, it's also, like think about what is a credit score? Like it's an imaginary number, like, it's not something you can hold or whatever, and I don't even know exactly how it works. Like I got this Credit Karma and it'll hit me up like when your credit score went up, your credit score went down. Why is it always moving up and down? Like nothing's changed. I'm paying on time, everything, whatever. Like why does it jump up this much and jump down? And
It's like I make my payment on time every time, and somehow it goes down randomly. Like it just updates. I think kind of randomly, but then long term it'll keep going up if you just make payments on time and you open up new lines of credit and you hold them for long. But not too many lines of credit, just as many as you can take in. So yeah, I feel like, well, you have to know how to do it. You have to know how to build credit if you want to have a good score.
And it takes time.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to build it up, and it takes a very short time to bring it down.
If you don't make your payments on time for long
Payments on time, an eviction, of course,
Yeah.
things like that.
something serious that comes up.
But it shows, like if you care about that, something that you don't really like see, it does help you, but it doesn't help you in your day-to-day life, like it helps you like small things here and there, like get an apartment or a loan or something like that. But other than that, like what does your credit score really matter, right?
So it matters for buying real estate mainly.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like getting a car, getting a house, getting an apartment. Those are the main things, right? And those happen so infrequently. So if someone can keep their credit score up and care about that, I just feel like they have more responsibility, not just for financial, but just in general.
Because they understand that they have to take care of their credit score. Like they're more responsible. Essentially.
Yeah, so they're going to take care of their things. They're going to live better. And generally that has been the case. Obviously there's no guarantee. Like there's always a risk. You can rent to someone with an 800 and they could just trash the place and not pay
Like
too,
who knows who their family is. Like if they're responsible, their brother or sister might not be responsible.
There's always going to be like
Yeah.
the exceptions to the rule, but like I said, generally, like ever since I did like strict with the credit and
Right.
no cosigners, like I haven't had problems, And I know like other people, like I know there's a lot of landlords like they rent to people with like no credit, and I get like, yeah, there's a lot of immigrants and like people with no credit.
Yeah.
No, but they don't view it as risky. They view it as actually more safe because, like, I don't know. I think they just know the culture maybe, and it's just they would rather like leave or like it would bring dishonor on them or something than not to pay. Like sure, like, hey, you guys do that, me, I want my credit score.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly. Like I know some previous deals I worked on that, you know, the guy was moving from a different country, right? He didn't have credit yet, but he was like a doctor. So like, you know, obviously you can probably, he has a good income and you can trust him probably if he can even become a doctor, right? So, but yeah, and I was thinking, where do you do your screening? Do you do turbo tenant at all?
I do turbo tenant, but really quick, I just want to touch on that. Like, yeah, if you know they're a doctor in their home country, but coming here, like a lot of people with like super prestigious or high level jobs, it doesn't translate to here. You know, like I've heard so many stories, like they were a doctor or a lawyer in their home country, but they got to come here and be like a plumber or a handyman.
Well, yeah,
or a janitor.
Well, like I meant like they were a doctor and they just got a job as a doctor here, you know.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, that's different.
That makes it.
Well, in that case, they should just buy.
Yeah,
They can get
yeah, exactly.
There's those like
Those are great deals, yeah.
doctors where they can get 0% down. I believe it's no PMI and the student loan debt doesn't count against them, which is like crazy.
Very favorable.
I know there's a real estate agent like her husband was a doctor and like she just like worked that circle.
Yeah.
And that was like pretty lucrative.
That would be a really good job. A really good.
That's super high level. But to your question, I use Turbo Tenant, yeah, Zillow. So yeah, actually I'm going through like a little bit of a transition period right now because I use Experian for the credit report. Like I don't like, I don't charge the application fees. I would just have the link sent from Experian and they pay them directly. You know, so it's like, I have no influence it, you know, like I'm not doing.
I didn't realize you could check it through Experian.
Yeah, but now Zillow bought Experian.
So they don't, only if you have the Zillow account, like a premium or something like that?
Well, I think it's going to be better maybe because, all right, so I guess they apply through Zillow, but it doesn't ask as much information as I'd want to know, like, you know, like their prior rental history or, you know, like things like that.
But it's just kind of the basic.
But it does have the credit score.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've done some Zillow deals that they apply immediately. And then I can actually, but it says I have to pull my own credit or something.
You know, when they apply immediately, it's like, don't you guys want to see the place first? It's like, yeah, okay. Well, like, even if I approve you, you know, like, come see the place first, you know? Because that goes to like sales too, like during COVID times, because a lot of people, like places were going so fast and everybody wanted to buy the place to take advantage of the low rates. There was a lot of like deals like buying unseen. And I remember my first one doing that, like I did the FaceTime tour with them and then it was like, okay, we're buying it. I was like, okay, cool, but you're gonna come see it in person before the end of the attorney review. So like if you don't like it in person, you can cancel the deal, right? No, I trust you. I was like, I mean, like, I wasn't lying. It's true.
I would never buy a place without seeing it in person, you know.
A lot of people do it, man.
Yeah, I'm
Have you heard of
thinking
this?
that'll be more common nowadays, you know.
Invest with Ace, this guy on Instagram. He's huge. And now there's a bunch of them like that. But basically it's like, he's in California and he's just like, deals in California suck, which they do, right? The taxes are high, it's not landlord friendly. So he invests in other states that are like, you know, the California is kind of like the Lincoln Park of the country, right? Like it's always good, but like you can't buy here and get up here. Like it's
gonna be high right now for you know.
And then there's more risk, you know, with the fires and blah blah blah, all that.
Can't even insure those areas too.
A lot of
all those people just lost their houses.
Exactly. So he invests in all these other areas and he has like his tricks, like he does like the Google Maps and like the street view to like see how many gas meters there are, see stuff from the outside.
Right.
He'll hire people, I think there's like TaskRabbit to like go like check it out or call like, you know, like a roof guy and like, you know, like, hey, take a look at it. And, you know, they'll fly the drone up and they'll give him a quote on how much it is, like stuff like that. Yeah, you can think about
a drone now.
Well, I mean, I have a drone in my car. I have it all the time.
I guess like people could do that now. Like we could start a business where we just have drones come through the property and then we can sell them without people seeing them. You know, it saves people time maybe.
On the inside of the property, I'm not that good of a pilot, man. But there are people that are good. Like, well, that's like the companies, they do like the home tours, like, and they do that FPV, the first person view, like flying through. It's kind of cool.
Oh yeah, I've seen those a lot. Like those are big places, you know.
No, they'll do it in not even that big place. They're just really good pilots. Me, I think I've crashed at this point, 5 drones.
Yeah.
I just got
I would not be
love
the
the
best drone
insurance.
guy, I don't think.
I am not sponsored by DJI, but DJI insurance, like the aftercare, like it's awesome. I think it's like even if I lose it, it's like $100 and they'll give me a new one. So worth it.
Recently, just
DJI all day, all day.
that's the insurance company.
No.
And they do the insurance.
Yeah, they do their own insurance. You know, I think when insurance gets out of control, like it just makes sense for the company to do it themselves. Like the Tesla, like their insurance was getting crazy, so they did their own insurance.
Oh, they did.
Yeah.
For their car insurance?
Yeah, there's Tesla insurance because all the other companies like charge really high. The only thing is they monitor your driving and all that, and like the way I drive, it's not good. So it'll be
They
crazy
give you.
expensive.
Oh, they.
And it's like Florida, they're crazy, and like they were supposed to do their own insurance, but then I guess like, you know, the private insurance companies didn't like that, so they lobbied, and now they're trying to kick people off of the state insurance, so they have to go to like the more expensive like private company insurance, and they can make more money, which kind of is bogus.
Oh, well, yeah, definitely they're taking advantage of people in some ways, like insurances. I know that for sure.
But insurance
for
is
health
like
insurance,
so
it's expensive
profitable.
nowadays. Yeah.
Think about like how many times have you seen like, I don't know if we can say something, but like Jake from State Farm or like Patrick Mahomes doing commercials or all these people, and like I know that costs money, like all those commercials and all those celebrities and all that. So if insurance companies have so much money for all these commercials, paying all these celebrities, all that, you know, like
It's profitable business, you know.
It's very profitable. Well, exactly. If they didn't have all those commercials and stuff, couldn't insurance come down like a lot, you know, or actually pay out? Because a lot of times I hear they're not even paying out, even if the people have insurance, or they find loopholes, or they pay like pennies on the dollar and stuff like
That's
that.
the thing, like that I don't like about insurance. You know, I actually have worked in it for a good amount of time. You know, before I was in real estate, and you know, it's a big business, and they're there for themselves, their corporate interests. You know, and they don't care about their customers very much overall. You know.
When I took over this building last year, like the roof had no problems, but like it looked not good because there was like a lot of patches and things like that. Like there was no leaks, but like most of the insurance companies wouldn't cover it, and the only one that did, it was like 24 grand.
And I was like,
24 grand, like no, that's crazy.
So what I
So what I
did,
did,
and this is
like a cool.
I would just recommend this for anyone with a roof. There's this stuff. It's called. I mean, it's basically like silicone. But like you got to get like the real silicone. I think it's silicone elastomeric coating, something like that, and get it in white because it reflects
the sun, so you don't have the heat issues in the top floor units. And we coated the whole thing, and it's expensive. It's like 300 something a bucket, so it's really expensive. I think it costs like $6 grand, like for the material. It's a big roof, but I just covered it all in that. Got the insurance for $8 grand right away. So it cost me $6 grand to do it, and I saved 16 grand. That's how crazy these insurance companies are now.
So okay, so I'm not sure how you said you saved.
Let me see if I can put like a before and after. But like before, like no insurance companies would cover me.
Okay.
Because of the roof.
But
They
the
were like, it's
silicone.
going to leak soon.
Oh, I
we
got
don't
it.
want to pay for the repairs.
Oh, okay.
Only one would, but they wanted 24 grand and the coverage like sucked.
Right.
So I was like, all right, whatever. I just got to address this roof, but I don't need a new roof. And I was getting a quote like the guy, not even for a new roof, to do a new coat. He wanted, and he drilled. He was like, it's fine, but we can do a new coat, whatever, like to make it like really good. 50 grand. I was like, 50 grand, forget that. So then I did research online, and this stuff, it says on the bucket it's supposed to last for like 50 years or something. I mean, I doubt it's gonna do that, but like even if it does like 15, that'd be great. And we put it on. I mean, a couple spots, like I put like extra patching to be 100% sure, because I saw like, yeah, like it was like in some spots. You know how water pools in some spots, and those are more worn. So I put like extra reinforcement on there just to be 100. And then coated the whole thing in this waterproof coating. And it's awesome because it looks great, it repels the sun, and yeah, it's just like silicone, like the water just sits on top.
Right.
Like it can't go through.
Well, you should send me the link for that
100% I will.
if I need that.
And like, there's so many things I said, like picture or whatever, but I want to find the before picture and the after picture and put it on here.
Okay.
And like you'll see, like, you know, they do the satellite views, and I don't think they do Google Maps. I think they have some sort of partnership with like satellites or whatever, like they can see it in real time. Or maybe they send people the drones too, but like they know, they look hard, these insurance companies now.
They want to make
definitely.
sure
What they're protecting, like they're not gonna have to pay out right away.
It works the same way in real estate. I mean, it's not everything's insurance, but when you know, if you're doing a DSCR kind of thing, you know, at the very end of our deal that we had put on the contract that we can get $4,500 for the rent, right? Mm-hmm. They came in saying it was a different number, and that affected our ratio at the very end, so we had to come in with more to close. You know, because there was a title, it's not some type of insurance, whatever. The guy said, you know, based on the market, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Everything, like you can't guarantee anything. Like when you're listing a house, right? Like there's a range you think you can get, and then there's different strategies to make sure you're getting at the top end of that range. And I think that's what separates like bad from good from great real estate agents. You know, the great
We did
ones
get
are going
the,
to
yeah.
really market
it
it.
out there, dialing on the price, dialing the strategy, get that buzz so like people bid it up, so
Yeah.
you can actually get above market value.
Like we got what we put on the deal, like on the loan, like we got that number,
Nice.
like right away. So it's like, yeah, we had to put an extra 100 something K down, but you know, whatever, you know.
Well, I mean, you got to spend to get sometimes, you know, and I mean, it's not like you're losing that money; it's going towards the place anyway.
Yeah, it's in the equity, so it's not, we're losing it anyway.
Worst case scenario, you just lock it out or refi something like that.
It's better, you know, it's better to put your money in real estate, right? Than it is to put it in the market, because the market, like right now.
You're talking about stock market.
Yeah,
Yes.
like we've seen it's volatile, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, put it in at a good price and hold it long term. I would much rather put it in at a good price for real estate and hold that long term. And then maybe when I have some extra cash sitting on the sidelines, maybe I'll wait till a good time to put that on the market, and you know, I'll sell it off when I think it's at its high point, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the market, like you can make good money, but like the 100 grand example you mentioned, right? Like if you put 100 grand in the stock market and the price doubles, you got 200 grand. Put 100 grand on a 480, I just want to round it up to 500 for like better number. Well, whatever, 480, right? Put 100 grand to buy a 480 place, but then you're making money every month. And if that doubled, you're not making 100 grand on that 100, like the stock doubles, it goes to 200. If it doubles, which, I mean, it probably wouldn't happen fast, but
It would take
Unless
a
it was
while.
Florida in like
Yeah.
the pandemic times.
but you know, it'll happen over long enough time. You're not making 100, you're making 480 from that 100. Plus, you were making equity buy downs all of that time from the tenants.
Right.
So it doesn't even cost you anything. And there's no, I mean, there's always risk, but it's not like a stock risk where it could like go to zero or get delisted or lose 50%.
I think it's yeah, you have two different things. You have the value increase and you have the rent, which you can also increase, which is better than just, yeah, it can go up or it can go down, you know.
Exactly. Well, generally, like, yeah,
In the market, it could go up or down, you know.
the market can do anything.
yeah.
It could do anything. But, you know, housing, like, generally it goes up over time.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, we can say that if we're over here, you know, if we're in other parts of the country right now, it's not exactly the same. It's a little bit riskier or less guaranteed than over here, you know.
Chicago is just like a pretty stable market.
Very
right?
stable,
Like,
yeah.
It just goes like this, whereas like, yeah, like Miami, it's boom, 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 you know, or Austin.
Well, yeah,
know, like-
that right now would be because of hurricanes, right? And stuff like, because
think
of,
it's
Just like it goes up so much, but if it goes this much this fast, it has to come back a little bit. I call it the rubber band, right? Like when you stretch it, it's got to come back. I mean, maybe
Like even
it's
when
like
it
California
comes back,
probably too.
well, a lot of these places, like, you know, Miami went up 200%. Even if it drops 20%, it's still net up a lot.
Right.
But like, it can't just keep going up 200%. You know, that's not sustainable.
Right.
But here, I mean, if it goes up like 3 to 5% a year, like that's pretty sustainable, right? It'd be hard pressed to drop 20%. I mean, is it possible? Sure, but
So these were the tenants here for the property. You know, this one was pretty bad report, but none of these guys have any like bad history. It's just their credit isn't the best. A couple of them. This one, you know, it's showing, you know, good credit, right?
that's good credit. That's really
And then
good.
the other is this one, which is 801, right?
800's amazing.
And then, but then we have this one, which is lower,
oh yeah, because they're all in the same application.
right? And then we have this one, which is really bad, you're gonna be shocked. But
yeah,
what's their relation? Is it all one family?
So yeah, no, it's not all one. It's one family and then relatives.
Okay, are the relatives the one with the poor credit?
Yeah.
You know, you got to talk to that family, like, if you are going to make the exception, right?
Right.
Like, hey, like, I would first ask them, like, do you know what's up? Like, they got to know, right? And I'm sure they're trying to help them out, right? So it's like, hey, there's risk there, but that's on you. Like, you're all signing the lease, but, know that, like, your credit's good, but maybe theirs isn't. It's like that situation I told you about where one roommate had good credit, the other one didn't. And then that bad one, like bad credit, put it on the other one and she paid for him for like 4 months. And he kept promising her, yeah, I'll pay you until he never did and she couldn't sustain that anymore. Right. They weren't family, they were roommates. So that's a little bit of a different story. Maybe family, like they'll support them.
Yeah.
But, I think there's got to be a pretty serious discussion right there, because the other one was like low but like reasonable, but the other one, that one's really low.
Really low. Yeah.
So like, and then maybe dive a little bit, like, why is it so low? Like, again, I try to have empathy. Like, maybe they had like a medical thing, and like, unfortunately in this country, medical bills can be like $100,000, like,
Which is not ideal, and it's probably not getting better for that right now at the moment. It's probably getting worse. Yeah, but this one I called Turbo Tenant, and they said that there were a number of different reasons that would be a possibility, but it was mainly because of like, it might have been like a car loan, and then that car loan was defaulted on most likely, or it was paid off, but for some reason the creditor still shows it on the credit report as being unpaid, which would affect the score somehow. So it's like, he's got to figure it out.
I look into it because that's tough, because during the pandemic, like, used cars went really expensive, like even more than new cars sometimes. If they bought at that time and the car was worth this much at that time, but now, like, those values have come down a lot.
Cars?
So
car values? Oh yeah, car values.
Especially used cars.
I know.
So like, maybe they paid this much and now it's only worth this much, but the loan is still this much. Like, it's not good. Like, I'll never say don't pay your bills, but I can kind of understand like why you would default on a loan where you're paying this much, but it's only worth this much, and like some of these car loans now, before car loans would be like 3-4 years. Now they got like 5, 6, 7, 8 year car loans, which is crazy in itself too. So again, pay your bills, but I get it. It's like during the 2008, the financial crisis. There was a lot of people that could afford paying their loans, but they did bankruptcy anyway.
Yeah.
Because I bought it at 500, now it's only worth like
350.
Yeah.
I don't, and it seems at that time it's only going to go down even more. Why do I want to pay this loan? And like, maybe they didn't like the house anyway. They just caught up in the frenzy. Hey, I'll wait my 7 years to buy a home. I'll rent for 7 years, until the bankruptcy clears.
Right.
Again,
it takes so much time.
I don't like that, but I understand from a pure financial like perspective.
Yeah.
I get it.
So this one, it's like, yeah, we're taking slightly a risk, but overall, I'm under the understanding or the belief, since there's going to be probably more family as well that's involved, that's going to be there as well, that they're probably going to be, if anyone moves in, they're going to pay for their part of the rent as well, so they should be able to theoretically obviously pay it off on time every month,
I mean, if it's 4 people, and it's like 4,500, like they're each paying
like 1,000 or
1,200. Let's say with utilities 1,200.
Right.
Like, that's not unreasonable.
Right.
That's not like, isn't a minimum wage like $15 now in Chicago?
I think probably.
I think that's 600, so like 2,400 a month. I mean, that is a good chunk of
They've got to pay most of their income for that.
Yeah, but like, I'm just saying, like, that's worse. Like, if they're all making minimum wage, like, it's definitely doable.
Yeah.
And then to survive on 4,000, like, yeah, it's not ideal, but I'm just saying, like, that's the worst. Like, if you got a job at, like a basic place, like, that's still doable. If they're serious about like paying and everything.
Yeah.
And that's why I say the credit score, like, I just hope it's not the 2 with the good credit score that pay, and the other 2 are just like, whatever.
Yeah, no, I called about the other one that was not good as well. His situation was, he had some issues in the past, but now he's been paying on time. It looks like every month he's been good, and it's building the credit right now. It's been building up, according to them, Torber tenant, So I feel like, he should be able to cover it,
One nice hack for getting your credit up. So I got auto pay, again, I'm never late, whatever. But I tried this and it does work. Anytime you buy something with your credit card, pay it right away. I mean,
doesn't have to be that extreme,
like every purchase, but maybe pay every week.
The reason why is because then obviously you have to pay it before your due date, but you don't want to accumulate more than 30% of your credit limit, because that way, if you have over 30% of your credit limit for a long period of time, that's going to lower your score.
But this, you're almost at zero. You're not at zero, but once you get it, you pay it right away. If you can do that, it's almost like a secured credit card, I guess you could say. Pretending it's like that, but it's better. People think, oh, well then don't get credit cards. No, get credit cards. Credit cards are awesome instead of carrying around cash. There's some people that are still anti-credit card.
Yeah. Well, nowadays, I feel like most people they have credit cards.
But there are a lot of people that are just credit cards, cash only, blah, blah, blah. But
that's old school.
Yeah.
But that way isn't necessary. Money, in your hand, it's nice, but in the future, there's going to be less of that. I feel like it's getting, eventually, that there's not going to be people carrying cash around, I don't think.
True, but restaurants now, have you gotten the bill and it's if you pay with cash, it's 3 or 4% less,
Right.
Your bill is $102, but if you pay with cash, it's 95 or something like that.
I haven't actually seen that.
It's small on the bottom if you look at it, but my dad is old school and he loves paying in cash, and then when he sees that, he's definitely paying in cash, because but I like credit cards because you're building up your credit, but also most of the times you get 1.5% or even some of them 2% cash back, so everything you're buying is 98 or 98.5% of what it says.
Exactly.
The only caveat would be if you go to a restaurant and you could save 3 or 4% by doing cash.
I haven't even heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, look, next time you go out, man. I mean, not like McDonald's or something like that, but a restaurant with the server and all that.
Yeah, it's some places only accept cash, actually. I went to a ice cream place down the street and they only took cash.
Which one was this?
It was an old school one. It was actually in Oak Park.
Oh, Oak Park.
Yeah.
It's not down the street. When you were saying ice cream place down the street, I was like, what ice cream? Jenny's?
Yeah, no.
Jenny's is definitely not on cash only, or else they wouldn't have those lines out the block.
Yeah, it's actually 5 miles away.
No, I know. Well, I mean, it's one of those things you say something where are you from? Chicago. It's oh, cool. We're in Chicago. Oh, Naperville. And that's a thing.
I know, right? Oh, you're not from, well, if you go to a different country like Mexico, they're always where are you from?
I get it in that situation.
In the suburbs, I would still say Chicago, because they're not going to know the town I'm from,
Even in other cities in this country, they're not going to know. Here, if you say Evanston or Oak Park, something people know that, but if you go to New York City, no one's going to know what Evanston or Glenview or.
I feel like they might know. They might know the big. Ones like Naperville and
I don't even think that.
They might know that, because I know that Naperville is the #1 small city in the U.S. So they might have seen, or people might know that.
Outside of Long Island or something.
Yeah, but that would be us knowing the suburbs in New York.
What suburbs are in New York?
Yeah. Exactly.
Long Island, I know, and
yeah, we wouldn't know any, offhand.
I know the boroughs, but I don't know the suburbs. Are the boroughs? No, that's still city. I don't think they're suburbs. But even in New York City, some people would probably consider Manhattan the city and the rest of them suburbs, right? Queens would be a suburb, right. But actual real suburbs, I don't even know.
Yeah.
New Jersey is a suburb.
Yeah, and I was gonna say New Jersey is literally right next to New York.
Yeah.
And Newark, that's not part of New York. That's its own
city. It's a different state, but it's basically a suburb.
Right.